finding myself speaking to my human spirit and telling her, you're just tired, just take a rest. Just remember, this is just a dream. Wake up, it's just a dream. Because when we wake up to spirit. We wake up to our true essence. And when we're in that space, in that moment, that's when we feel the bliss, that's when we feel the magic, that is when we feel closest to spirit. And we maintain that for a while, but then we get back to the dream because we've got deadlines, we've got people that's irritating us, we've got all this other stuff, and it's like, wake up, that's a dream, come back to reality, which is spirit. So that's the game I've been playing, and it's going quite well for now.
Yes, it is, and that's the...
Hello.
I'm Andreea Parc.
And I'm Alexa Dumitru.
And this is Alive Again, is a podcast where we discuss and we share real life stories and universal challenges that we all face in life and how these experiences shaped our journeys. This is the last episode of this year. And we have with us some great friends, Michelle Goth and Allison Ross, two people that are so close to my heart. And I am super grateful that I have you in my life, along with my lovely daughter here, Alexa. And this episode is about gratitude and about letting 2024 go with grace. About the lessons that we've learned this year and how do we embrace with love and grace again 2025. Ladies, thank you very much for being here with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Such a pleasure, thank you.
So last week we had an episode, just the two of us, on the lessons that we've learned while in Romania and how it pushed all the buttons and how we were forced to learn lessons. Today, I would like to ask you how 2024, what lessons you've learned in 2024 and how you embraced it with love. Because as Allison, I believe, said in one of her posts, we cannot learn unless we accept and love what happened to us. Right? Or am I butchering your statement?
No, I think that is a universal statement of how, no matter what way you say it, the energy is the same. It's acceptance and just learning to love, which is two totally different things, but generally, yes.
All right. So who wants to start? Allison?
Me? Oh, okay. So... for me, 2024 went by at warp speed. It's just, I don't understand how we got here. And yet so much has happened that when I look back and I try to kind of think which episodes or what, so I can't, I have a blank. It is just so fast. But I think the magnitude of it, or the biggest lesson for me and the biggest gratitude is just realizing that I actually can't do it. I stopped trying to control. I stopped trying to look at my outcomes. I stopped all of that. And the biggest lesson, the biggest challenge was realizing I cannot do this. And at that point, you sort of understand that you have to hand it over to something bigger than you, not anybody bigger than you. And I think my gratitude is just finding that renewed faith and learning to surrender, which in itself is it's an ongoing. So... does that answer?
But let's remind ourselves and our listeners why you believe that it was too much. Because you launched this year the Vibrational Marketing Institute, which is a big undertaking, and we are grateful, myself, Michelle Shell, as we know her, and I were grateful to be founding members of this amazing group of thought leaders, I would say, and visionaries. And of course, it's big. And of course, there are things that you can control. but the enormity of your undertaking is amazing, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you to you and to Shaw for just taking the plunge, because had I known the enormity of it, I might have been considered. But I think that's also how we go through life, with fingers on not knowing what we're going to do. But I'm so grateful just for the lessons and for everybody, because the blessing for me is seeing myself in the interview and learning through that, embracing parts of myself, the good and the not so good. I think just having my lowest lows, while at the same time trusting that that's part of the process, and just being grateful for the lesson. Because there's a favorite pastor that I have, even though I'm not like Christian by those kind of religious standards, but I like his teaching. And there's some verse, I don't know what it is, but the question is, like, what do you do when you can't do anything else? Because we always get there, what do we do when we can't do anything else? And the answer was, you find the joy in that. You find the faith in that, and you're grateful for the opportunity to increase your faith. So I think I've taken that approach, where if I cannot, that's an opportunity for me to increase my faith and just let it go. So yeah, it's been interesting. And if I can also continue, if you'd like to know the deeper aspect of it, because I often have these conversations with whoever it is who created us, so that's God or the universe or spirit, and I've always felt that we say spirit has our back, or we say this or that one has our back. We say that, but we really believe it, and when it came down to it, I actually didn't believe that the universe had my back. So I had this conversation with them, like, I've done all this stuff, like, when are you going to show up in my life, people? That sort of conversation. And it was not about having my back, because the energy or the faith is not about anybody having your back. It's about being willing to free fall without that support, and just free fall into that space of nothingness and surrender, and just experiencing everything that's beautiful along the way. So the lesson for me is that nobody needs to have my back, because we are safe and we are loved, and it's just about the curiosity and playing with it and just moving forward. And I think that's what I'm moving forward with in 2025, because as founding members of Vibrational Marketing Institute, we have no clue how this is going to play out.
Yeah.
But we have a good heart, and we've got a vision, and we're just trusting faith, I think.
Yeah. And I was listening to a podcast in Romanian the other day, and I was talking to Shell about it yesterday. And it's exactly what you're saying and what you promote with VMI, that as a birthright, we have everything. And it's only our beliefs that guides us towards having or not having things. And he says that he has an exercise that he does where he has 4 boxes. One is love, one is health, one is money, and one is relationships. And he's asking people, which one would you choose? And only 1% of people say they would choose all of them. Most people choose health or money. And by birthright, we have them all 4. But we don't recognize that. And until we accept and allow ourselves to have all of these great things in the same time, we will only have bits and pieces, because that's what we allow ourselves to have.
It is. And I mean, that's such a beautiful explanation of it. And if I can also add, we come down, when we understand this, we come down very hard on ourselves because we don't allow it. Because we think we know, why are we not allowing it? But what we don't realize is that this is generations of programming that we actually have to unlearn. And it is so deep in our core. And as much as we work on ourselves, it is so much bigger than all of us because it is the environment that we're in. It's the people we interact with. I mean, we all know that we can work on ourselves, but we step outside and we step into the next room, we're in contact with somebody else, and that just kind of brings you down. So how do you navigate that space? And how do you coexist in an environment when you understand this and you see it clearly and you want to move forward in this space, and you looked at as maybe irresponsible, or maybe you looked at as delusional, or all these negative labels, when it is actually your understanding that we are holding ourselves back. This is our limitations, and we're working on it. And for me, I think it has just been patience. My biggest lesson has been patience with myself and patience with everybody around me.
As they say, we can only grow up to our acceptance. If we don't accept things and where we are in life, we can move forward. Yeah. Shell, you're being too quiet.
It's just because I'm normally exceedingly chatty. And so I intentionally wanted Miss Allison to go first because the both of you are such an integral part of my 2024 journey and before that. So 2024 has been an excessively transformational year for me. Excessively transformational. And it was hard. It was very challenging to release my pre-programmed, quote-unquote, beliefs about what I'm supposed to be as a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as a mom, as a wife. In the midst of all of that development and growth, Allison invited us into VMI. And I walked into May, which is when we really sort of launched the whole conversation around attraction and thinking about what type of message do I want to project, what type of client do I want to receive. And we started to create our path for that. And then we were asked to sit with each of those potential beings. And what hit me was each of those is me, which is the point of it, is learning how to navigate through that. And initially, when that realization came forward, I was paralyzed. I was legitimately paralyzed in how can I be everything to everyone when I'm not being anything to myself? And it was such an interesting, dark, and I'm going to use the word blissful in a way that is hard, because it was bliss, but it was hard to walk through all of those different components and really thinking about it. And my business is all around trust and being personally intimate with yourself and figuring out exactly what it is you want and how you want to present yourself, and whether or not you can show up with your self, your clients, your team in a truly authentic way that allows you to transform your business. And my motto is to transform business around the globe by connecting people to love. And I realized I wasn't connected to love. I wasn't loving myself. I was a safe space for so many people. Yet I don't have a space. And even in my little hearts, I don't have that. I couldn't identify where do I go? Where do I go when I want to cry? Where do I go when I want to just joyfully dance stupidly and have fun? I didn't have that, but I created that for so many people over the last several years. And so it's been this journey since May, and I really popped out of it just recently. And I've shared with both Allison and Andreea is that I just popped out and realized I deserve love. I deserve trust. I to be there for me. And the reason why others view me as a safe space is because I am grounded. But I didn't believe that for a while. And now that my feet are firmly on the ground in my fuzzy socks in my own home, I'm ready. And to Allison's point, that proverb of walking with God or the universe or however we want to define that, for me it's a God. Walking with God doesn't mean he has my back. Doesn't mean that I'm being handed cookies along the way. It means that I am seen. I am part of that divine plan. I am walking. And for me, joy is that moment between chaos and bliss. And when you identify that moment where you pop out of what the heck was that into, my goodness, look what's next. And what's next is not easy. But that moment of joy, when you know in your heart, you got this. And that's because you're a part of the collective. You're a part of the divine plan. You're a part of whatever, it's the amount of work and study I've done around religion. Everybody has the same idea. There's always something that you're connected to. And that's what I love about our community.
Yes.
It didn't matter how dark or weird I got. You all still were there. You were all standing in my little space, my safe space of joy. So, to me, I'm so grateful.
Yeah, we are connected through light. That, like the light bulb, we are each individual light bulbs giving light and then bringing light to this world and to humanity and everything around, because that's what we are. But again, it's going back to acceptance. And what I've realized recently is the difference between, because we all make lists with what we want, and I realized the difference between desire and intention. The desire comes from lack, and the more we desire, the more we lack, versus intention, which is from a point of I have everything, but which thing from that everything I wanted first? I intend to create first in my own life. Bring it in, because everything, it's there in our, that pool of light that everything is and we are and we have.
It's all present. It's just the matter of having a level of self-awareness to be able to see it and then understand how to manage yourself in the midst of it. It brings me to listening to you and Alexa last week. And Alexa's conversation around whether you stayed in Romania with her for the other couple of months or if she stayed by herself. And so that young, fruitful, ambitious soul was like, oh, I'm good, I got this. And then all of a sudden the world came down around her. And Alexa, you said, I realized it was just me. And I just had to figure it out. And so, your mom has that tendency. She tries to make me make lists all the time. I don't do lists.
Me too. I'm the same way, yeah.
Yeah. So, but there's this idea that once you find yourself in, and that's to me the next question you asked was, how do we thank 2024 and embrace 2025? And Alexa, you leaned into that idea of just being more aware and watching for the signals and signs, paying more attention to what the God in the universe is telling us. And I had you on and I was listening and I just started laughing loud in my kitchen because I was like, that girl is just going to flow through life. She's going to walk into a lot of walls, but my goodness, she's a good bouncer. She can bounce off that wall and she's going to come back into flow. And that's sort of how I move through the world, is that I believe very strongly. I mean, how am I blessed enough to have two phenomenal coaches, one in South Africa and one in New York. How does this girl from Boston find these things? Well, they found me and said, hey, you're worth having some time with. And that, Alexa, is that flow. That's allowing yourself to pay attention to when those things come to you. And so that's my primary gratitude for 2024 is it allowed me to pause and reflect on my own needs, but it also, I had this beautiful group of, Allison, I think there's 14 in the vibrational marketing team that work together that were creating this vortex of movement. And I've been on the outside of the hurricane or tornado going, okay, I'm about ready to step in there. But they never let go of my hand. They never said, you're not far enough along. Because I didn't follow the process perfectly. So that flow of movement, when you can find a community that allows you to move with them through that attraction, through that reciprocity, and through pure gratitude, the entire planet can thrive. So we need list makers, and we need those that move through the flow. So thank you, Alexa, for being one of those people.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a good yin and yang.
Which brings you back to your first episode when I talked about riding the yin and yang like a pony.
Right.
Nice way to close out the year.
Yeah. And about balance. And we discussed about this, Shell, like 2 weeks ago, that being human, we have always the good and the bad, the white and black, and this duality. But in the quantum, going back to Allison, we have everything, and all is light.
Yes. That is so relevant, because to add to what we were all saying in terms of facing these challenges, making the lists, or going with the flow, I think there is a shift in consciousness. We are all accepting that we light, and it's a choice. We actually have the choice to step into our divinity in that moment. And as you know, I love speaking about the illusion of life, because when you're talking from a vibrational perspective, or if you're talking from a spiritual perspective, or from a conscious perspective, this is really just energy. So what I said was that from a quantum perspective, it's vibration, so it doesn't really exist. And from a spiritual perspective, there is no separation between us and who created us. So anything that is not bliss is not real. Everything that's not bliss is an illusion. So once we are aware of that, being present to say in this moment, okay, I'm actually more spirit than I am human, because spirit is real. Human is just a container, temporary, it doesn't actually exist. So I think that's what I'm taking with me to 2025, because I don't know how it's going to pan out, but what I've been doing, which I don't know is completely sane, but I've actually been finding myself speaking to my human spirit and telling her, you're just tired, just take a rest, just remember, this is just a dream, wake up, it's just a dream. Because when we wake up to spirit, we wake up to our true essence, and when we're in that space, in that moment, that's when we feel the bliss, that's when we feel the magic, that is when we feel closest to spirit, and we maintain that for a while, but then we get back to the dream, because we've got deadlines, we've got people that's irritating us, we've got all this other stuff, and it's like, wake up, that's a dream, come back to reality, which is spirit. So that's the game I've been playing, and it's going quite well for now.
Yes, it is, and that's the reason why we went to Alive Again as the name of the podcast, because it resonates with us exactly in that thought that we are alive into the spirit and into bliss. Yeah, and all the rest.
That moment in the middle. It's the moment of just being. You can either look behind you and say, that was a horrible, terrible thing, or look in front of you and say, wow, what am I about to learn? How am I about to grow? And to Allison's point, create that illusion. It can either be an illusion of real dark negativity and sadness, or an illusion of opportunities to grow and learn and develop and become all that you are. Your soul is here to do. You can live to your full, quote-unquote, human potential by being aware.
Yeah. And that's the human choice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
And tomorrow could be a different choice. 5 minutes from now.
And not even tomorrow. Not even tomorrow. It's every moment. It's an opportunity to make a different choice.
Yeah, new minute, new moment. It's my favorite
and
phrase.
we make choices at the level of consciousness that we are at that moment. So if we learn a lesson and we grow, the next moment will make a totally different choice. Is more embracing the light and bliss. So now that I'm sorry, yes?
And learning from it all.
Yeah. And now that we're approaching the end, what is one thing that you would like to, one intention that you would like to bring to fruition, to reality in your life in 2025?
Mine is simply model who you want to be. Even if you don't think you are that person yet, just start. Take one step. For me personally, I know what I have as an aspirational vision. I just need to model it. I need to just be okay with how the flow is going and understand that this too shall change. And just embrace the movement. And I'm excited for 2025 for that. We have a lot of changes in our life that are about to happen. And to Allison's point, the chaos can be an illusion. The bliss can be an illusion. I get to choose. I get to choose where I want to play. And I am going to choose to move through the flow.
Allison, what about you?
I think, well, I know for myself, because when you think it's not a commitment, so I know for myself that I want to lean more towards my divine, because I have that choice as well. I don't have to be comfortably in the middle. I can be uncomfortably divine because it feels uncomfortable at the moment, actually saying I'm spirit, I'm God, I'm all of these good things, and I am one. It's still uncomfortable, but eventually it will become comfortable, so I'm leaning towards divine.
That's great. How about you, Alex?
I think, kind of along the lines of what Chell said, my biggest issue in Romania was, yes, I rolled with the punches, but somehow just the idea that things weren't going my way, because they were, but I just didn't know that yet. That really made me uncomfortable, and it really made things upsetting for me. So I think the idea of rolling with the punches and saying, okay, this is just a small redirection and let's just go that way. I think that's what I need to learn for 2025, or I'm going into 2025 with. And you?
The intention for me is to let the divine speak through me and embody, because I've heard saying that we are stars in skin. So I would let the divine flow through my skin, and looking back, I know that I am protected and that I always have signs. And if I listen to the signs, and if I go with what the plan of the divine is for me in my life, then I'm good. So allowing that's the intention. Thank you both very much for being here. Literally cannot wait to see how VMI is evolving in 2025, because I trust the divine in Allison, and it's not insane to be divine. We all are, and I would love to see the divine in you next year, and you shall the same. I wish you both happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and an amazing new year.
And be very, very, enjoy yourselves and just continue to be as beautiful as you are.
Thank
you.
Thank you so much. Lots of love, and thank you for this opportunity to share this beautiful time with you.
Or, of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'll see you soon.
Thank you.